Welcome back to Market on Close. I'm Sam Vadas alongside Alex Coffey. So Alex, just I suppose a few final thoughts for 2025. For me, it was really that resilience feels like the word of the year. And I say that because, even the traders had their traditional sort of sing-along carol today. And Peter Tuchman mentioned that. And he said, there's been 52 record closes this year. Think about where we were in April. I know Kevin Hinks talked about that as well. I mean, we've seen double-digit gains for stocks right now. So, we are looking at a lot of resilience in this market alone here in the US in the face of what has been pretty turbulent when it comes to some of this tariff policy and the ups and downs and, the bumpy road around AI and some of the questions now we're seeing in the market, but also as far as international markets. I mean, I've been speaking about that on the last couple of shows as far as the outperformance we've seen in certain region, and that's been in the face of, central banks being at different sort of points in their sort of rate cycles, and obviously with the tariffs and, the trade negotiations that have been going on. Look at a market like Japan, for instance. I mean, finishing up above 50,000 mark. I mean, this has been really on a roll, Japanese stocks, in the face of actually the BOJ hiking rates. And so that's been a really resilient market. That's been really a lot around the excitement to do with Takaichi, the new prime minister, and also technology. But then when you talk about resilience, look at the Chinese yuan as well. I mean, this is a country where, obviously they're still trying to hammer out their trade deal. We are facing higher tariffs, but the exports have looked resilient in the face of that. And, the Chinese currency gaining 4% against the greenback this year. So, that was really the takeaway for me was this word resilience in the market. Alex, what about you?
Yeah, I think first of all, Sam, I'd like to take the time to, tip my cap and acknowledge Warren Buffett as he officially retires. The Oracle of Omaha steps away from a career that spanned across 6 decades at the helm of Berkshire Hathaway. And he leaves behind a legacy that I think at this point is indisputably the greatest investor of all time. So kudos to Mr. Buffett, and we'll see what Berkshire has in store for us under the leadership of Greg Abel. But as far as my takeaways go, I think this year served as a great reminder to me of the importance of stories and narratives when it comes to equity investment and trading. So many things within the story around AI drove the performance this year. The scares around tariffs, of course, drove some of the volatility earlier in the year. And then along those lines, I think today illustrates the importance of, as a macro trader or investor, to be successful, you really have to be comfortable going anywhere. It's something Stan Druckenmiller, another really famous and successful investor, has always preached and give credence to his own success. And you see it with, hey, maybe there wasn't a ton of action in equities today, but there was so much volatility and action in metals this week. And that's something that I will take into next year, this ability to go anywhere when you're talking trading and markets.
Yeah, and I mean, look, heading into 2026, I mean, that's really been the nature of the show and the conversations today. I think, as far as the outlook is concerned, as I've been saying as well, international stocks is something that many of the guests have been sort of pointing out to me is an important story going into next year, particularly as we continue to see this weakness in the greenback. I mean, we started off this year sort of questioning US exceptionalism. That didn't seem to be the case throughout the course of the year, but still, as I mentioned, with the currencies, for instance, regionally, we still saw, some strong showings. I mean, I just mentioned the Chinese currency, but we also saw that for the euro and also the pound, and that came in the face of, as I mentioned, this tension between, the US and various trading partners. We had, a lot of bumps in the road as far as what the tariffs were going to mean for the global economy as well. And then you've got the bond market. I was having a really fascinating conversation with Colin Martin, and he was sort of saying that there's no index that Schwab tracks that didn't make a return this year. Now, returns are likely to be positive in 2026, but maybe not the same magnitude. And that's because, of course, of the price point where it starts and also price appreciation, remembering that the Fed is sort of penciling in 1 rate cut next year. The market sort of seems to think 2, but that's sort of where we're heading as far as, continuing to see that reduction. But Alex, what will you be watching?
Yeah, we'll have the break tomorrow. We'll watch some football, and then we'll get back on the horse because that's what we do in financial markets. There's really no breaks. But as far as catalyst goes, CES is what's on my mind. That kicks off this weekend. M&A and AI, innovation with AI. It's going to be a big market mover next week, I think.
Yeah, and I'll be watching the 5th test in Australia, in Sydney, of the Ashes. I'm very much looking forward to that.